Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hi guys, I hope that you are doing really well in this moment in time, for this moment is all you have. I hope that you're also paying attention to all of the fifth dimensional adjustment symptoms that we are all going through. Now, I know around Halloween, everybody was pretty freaking tired. Between Halloween and now, a lot of you have been sleeping like freaking crazy since we got anchored into the fifth dimension around the 20th of November, maybe even the 19th, I think, was whatever the Saturday was. We have had intense, powerful, extremely vivid dreams. We're meeting people in our dreams that we never knew before. A lot of us are opening up to our galactic brothers and sisters and spirit guides in a way that we never did before. We're now acknowledging that they exist in a way that we never did before. And a lot of us are starting to be abducted by people that never abducted us before. Not people, but I mean beings from, other worlds. I was abducted twice in the past 48 hours. In fact, I think in the past 24 hours. I kind of can't even remember. And that's another symptom, by the way, an adjustment symptom. What they've been, not only are we having massive vivid dreams, and we're being aware of the space beings or the star beings that are contacting us telepathically in our dreams, and sometimes just seeing a UFO in the air. My friend said in Tampa, Florida, he just saw a light ship in the air. He's like, they're already here. Yeah, they're definitely already here. They haven't landed on the ground and said, hey, by the way, I'm your Palladian brothers and sisters, and we would like to welcome you to the Galactic Federation. I do think that is coming, and that's going to come soon, like 3 to 5 years, unless we all start asking for it. So if it's something you want to happen, ask them to come, and ask them to come quickly. Come here soon. Get your skinny Palladian butts down here, because we need to know more. We want to grow more. We want to be more, have more, and do more. And we want more spirituality, and we just want more. I don't know if you're like that, but I'm definitely like that. I'm just like clamoring to get to the more of it. Coming out of darkness and ignorance and going into the light is just so exciting. It is the most exciting time in human history, as far as I'm concerned. It's the most exciting time in my personal history, in the history of my families. I mean, for me, at least, it's like, oh my God, this is the most cool time. So some of the other symptoms we've been having, well, you're just going around and all of a sudden your ears just shut the frick down and you can't hear a damn thing. It sounds like you have completely plugged ears, like you've been swimming for 8 hours and your ears are plugged with water. Sometimes it happens in one ear or both ears, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I think I have an ear infection. 2 weeks ago, my symptoms not only included what felt like an ear infection, but created a heat path from my ear all the way down through my jaw and up through my wisdom teeth. And it felt like I had been talking on a cell phone for 8 hours, and I don't even have a cell phone number. I didn't even hold the phone up to my head, and I don't receive those kinds of signals on my phone. I don't even talk on the phone anymore. Yay, being in another country, being on another continent. I don't need to deal with that crap anymore. Like I told you guys the other day, I don't do regular TV. I only watch Netflix and YouTube. I don't get mail and I don't get telephone calls because I don't have a phone number. I have a phone number. It's a Magic Jack. It's an internet phone. It's a different sort of signal. You know, it's just a normal internet. And I've eliminated mail coming to me. What else? I don't have to drive a car anywhere, so I don't have to pay for any of that crap. Car insurance, registration, renewal, all that BS. I don't even have a driver's license anymore. I had one, but it was robbed. It was stolen from me. And why get another one? How could I get another one? Was I going to fly to the U.S. and get a driver's license for like the fact that I'm never going to drive a car again? Or maybe I will. And I'll probably get one down here, and it'll be driver's license in Spanish. Oh God, I gotta take a test in Spanish. I know I could do it, but oh my God, I have to learn a whole nother set of language. Anytime you do anything that's different, you have to learn an all new set of Spanish words. It's crazy. You go to the doctor and it's a whole new set, whole bunch of new words. You go to a scientific lecture, it's all the same English words, but with a different accent. So actually, Spanish lectures about science, very easy to understand compared to other parts of other parts of society. Spanish law, going to a notary public, totally. It's like you never spoke Spanish in your life, even if you're fluent. I'm conversationally fluent in Spanish, and I'm looking at this going, what the hell? What does that word mean? I've never heard of that before. And I'm talking to people from all over Latin America, even in Spain. I have conversations with people from actual Spain because everyone has a different way of speaking, and I'm learning new words. It's like, ooh, I didn't know that word ever. So cool. Certain people, like in regions, people will say one word to mean the same thing, and then you go to another city and they use a whole other word for the same exact thing, for the same exact meaning, but a whole different, it's pretty weird. I like it. Just like in English, same thing, but we all understand English, so it's not as, I don't know. I'm getting off the beaten track here. So some of the other symptoms that we're having of the adjustment phase is our bodies are definitely adjusting. I feel that we're becoming less and less dense, and there's more and more spaces in between our cells, our cellular structure. We're becoming not like nebulous. It's not like we're going to be like, colored gases floating around. We're not going to just be like there we are. We're not going to be like the guy on Star Trek Deep Space Nine that can turn himself into like liquid silly putty and ooze himself under the doorway. We're not going to be like him, Frodo or Odo or whatever the hell his name was. That guy always freaked me out. I'm like, I do not like this guy. I did not like that actor in Benson, and I did not like that character in Star Trek. It freaked me out. There's something about his face that really freaked me out. I think he reminds me of an alien I saw in another world when I lived in another life somewhere. I don't know. Something about him always freaked me out, but we're not going to be like that. We're going to be less dense, but we're not going to notice it for the most part. We'll notice it a little more. We're going to notice that we can wield magic like easier. Things are going to come massively fast, like quickly, manifesting fast in a really massive way. It's going to be just boom, boom, boom. Whereas before it was like 3 weeks later, are we there yet? A lot of my friends who have been single for a very, very long time and have been really depressed and feeling really lonely and feeling really like, just screw this crap, I'm going to totally give up, suddenly have found new love in their lives. Out of nowhere in the past 2 weeks. Several people I know. And they're like, it's so weird. I was like suicidal. I was depressed. I was like hiding. Like one of my friends said, I was hiding in the janitor's closet and crying for like 2 hours to 4 hours a day because my life was just so crap. And now he found somebody and he's like, I think this is the one. I think I might have found my twin. I think I found my twin flame. I mean, I found someone a couple weeks ago. Well, actually about 6 weeks ago. We met 2 weeks ago. And I'm not saying he's not my twin, I'm pretty sure. But I know he's someone I could definitely fall for sure. If you're my twin, you better get in my life quickly before this happens. But but this is someone I could easily find myself falling for. Like actually loving him deeply. I feel it, you know? And if nothing else, we're probably just going to be super, super, super good friends for the rest of our lives. I feel that for sure. And it's possible for more. I mean, I just feel like there's an energy of, okay, it's not going to happen right now, but it's probably in the next couple of months. I feel like there is a potential for it. I'm not saying it's going to definitely happen, but it's a potential. You know, so I feel like it's in the air around me kind of, but not really in my life yet. You know what I mean? But it's possible. Like, so I felt like that shift though. There was an energetic sort of it was like a lonely, sad, suicidal, depressed. Oh my God, my life is over. And then all of a sudden, after 3 days of feeling like really freaking sleepy and unable to get out of bed, feeling a ton of pain in my body, just like I couldn't even move. My body was so stiff, my back, my neck, all of my spine, hips, even my feet and my knees were aching like I'd been hiking for hours. And even my arms, my hands, even my elbows hurt. And I was having sharp shooting pains in my lungs for a day, and my heart kept palpitating. And then after like 3 days, I was totally fine. And that happened for a while. But I was feeling really negative and that suicidal, depressive sort of, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to go on. This is really crap. I've got to go on with my life every day. I have to make my show every day because I told you guys I'd show up for you. As long as I can, I will show up for you guys every day. And I was still feeling all this other stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if it's from me. And then I felt like it was, but it was old remnants of old ideas from like 30 years ago. So it was energy I had to clear out. I knew that. And then my kid and I, we were fighting for a couple of days, and he was feeling the same energy. And then I started talking to other people, and they were feeling the same energy. I went, oh, yeah, it's not really from us, but it's the collective ideation of suicide and depression and negativity and blah. And that's the brown energy that was released from all the crystals inside the earth, right? So that was a couple weeks ago. But we're still now, and in the past few days, when we're sleeping deeper, like intense. And some of us aren't sleeping at all. 3-4 days go by and you're like, I think I probably should try to sleep again. You know, and sleep 2 hours here, 1 hour there, and then whoop, wide awake again. And and then I just found a couple days ago, he found me. He wrote me like a week ago, and then we did the show together. Jude, he is my near twin flame. And he's even nearer to me than my last near twin flame that I met. We have, I think, up to 8 or something. There's like 8 of us. And it's almost like there's the main twin flames and then the near twin flames that will take your place in the event that there's an accident and your twin flame dies, or you die, or you change your mind, because you could always do that. But the energy of the twin flames had to happen. And this is going back to around 2009, 2010. Mostly, actually, no, I think it was 2010. 2010 is when this happened, where a lot of people, even 5 and 6 and 10 years before that, were getting together. The twins were getting together. But the energy of the massive collective twin flame community that are all incarnate right now, whether they were with their twin or not, had to pair up or link up for a short period of time with their near twin in order to raise the vibrational energy of the planet and to start the divine masculine, divine feminine counterpart energy to get people thinking along these lines and energetically flowing and resonating along these lines. And there's a lot of work that we did together. My first near twin that I met, he and I did a lot of energetic work together. And he's completely unaware of any of it that went on. Completely asleep in this way, which is hilarious to me. I mean, like, we would be like cuddling in bed, and we had a cuddle thing for like 8 or 9 months before we ever kissed. Nothing occurred. We were always fully clothed, so nothing sexual, but we'd be in bed and he'd have his arms around me, or I'd have my arms around him. And that was like our energetic work we had to do to release a lot of energy in our, in the apartment building, the block, the city, our region. We had a lot of stuff to release. And I felt it. I mean, I'd be awake in the middle of the night, just being completely aware of what's going on. And he'd be sound asleep, snoring, unaware of what's going on. It was hilarious. It was like, all right, whatever. I know it's true. I know it's real. I thought he was my twin flame. And my friend, who's extremely psychic, saw us together. And she's like, oh, he's mad in love with you, but he's not ever going to say it. It's weird. And she's like, I feel he's totally your twin. It's like the energy of that. My kids and I all had a dream he was going to propose marriage to me in France. And yet we haven't seen each other now since 2012? 2013? No, it's 2013. I haven't seen him since then. And he's with somebody else, and, it's not going to happen now because he's not my twin. He's my near twin. Yet there's a French connection. There's something to do with the French connection. A friend of mine said, a psychic friend of mine, another psychic I know, he says, oh yeah, your guy, he might be American, but he lives in France part-time, maybe like half the year. And he's definitely got like a French-European connection. He's like, feels more home there than in the States. I thought that was weird. That was very odd because of me seeing the Paris thing. Well, anyway, so it's kind of cool for me to run into, or he finding me, my near twin, my nearest twin. And we started realizing that we knew each other on the planet Metzger, which I talked about yesterday. And it's pretty cool. It's like, oh my God, I feel a little bit more complete. And he brought me information of my starseed origins, or at least maybe they're not my origins, but they're planets I've lived on before. And it made sense. As a kid, I always stared into the sky at Orion. I didn't know what I was looking at, but I couldn't stop staring at it. I mean, for like 6 years or something. And then one day when I was an adult, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we decided to go sit in a field and look up at the stars. And he said, you see that? That's Orion. And I'm like, really? And he goes, I think I lived there. So he told me, he's like, I think I'm from there. I want them to come back and take me. And we all laughed and thought he was out of his mind. But that's how a lot of people feel now. He was way ahead of his time. In fact, he renamed himself Alexander Orion Francis. That's what his new name was. He changed his name to something that suited him spiritually. I thought that was one of the coolest things in the world. And I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that he passed. I think and God rest his soul if he did, I keep feeling that energy that he left. I've asked several times, and every time I get that answer, nah, he went. In fact, the other day I asked about another friend of mine, and I hadn't heard from her, and I just talked to her like a couple months ago. And my higher guidance said, no, she was in a car accident and died. She didn't make it. And one of my kids' friends, like she found her on Facebook, and her Facebook page looks like a memorial, and she was a kid. She was 19. And her Facebook page, it kind of looks like a memorial, and people are saying that they miss her, and it's really freaky. And there's like she never answers any of it. I'm like, well, it could be her mom was freaky, and she just held a page for her, and she doesn't even know about it. Or it could be that she died too. There's like a lot of that kind of weirdness, like thinking a lot of our people have gone and not having a way of verifying it. So, but as far as physical symptoms, we're having the tiredness, the weird ears feel like you're underwater. You'll have days where you feel like you have the flu and you're really, really, really sick, but you don't have a fever. You feel like death warmed over and you can't get out of bed, and you're like in a unmovable coma for up to 3 days at a time, and you're just like, what the hell? What the actual hell? Like a week ago I had a ton of energy. I'm still eating good. It's not that. It's like you've been, eating a really super vibrant, alive food for like months. And then when you go through these 3 days, it feels like you've been eating nothing but McDonald's for 3 days, which usually isn't true in most cases. It's like so freaky. Like even today, my son and I had, I made Chipotle chicken breasts in the oven and a whole head of broccoli, and we each ate half of a head of broccoli. You know, tons of vibrant phytonutrients, right? But that's how we've been eating every day, like tons of vegetables and a little bit of meat and just, you know, healthy food. Yesterday I had yogurt and like fresh yogurt with crushed fresh berries in it. It was really good. You know, we've been having every day, and oh my God, we've been having mangoes and kiwis and all kinds of good food. I ate a whole papaya like a week and a half ago, like a massive papaya. It was like size of my head plus half another head. It was massive. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. I was like forcing it down because papaya, I don't know if you guys know, but like after like 20, 30 minutes, it starts to smell horrible. So you have to eat it now or it's just going to go bad. And if you leave it in the trash, it's just going to smell up your whole house. So it's like, you got to eat it now. It's kind of ridiculous. It's one of those fruits, though, when you eat it, it's because you're craving vitamin A and there's nothing else you can do. You just have to eat the papaya. I know half of you are saying, you could just take a vitamin A pill. No, it's not the same thing. Oh, speaking of vitamin A, vitamin E acetate is, the CDC thinks is the culprit in all of the vaping illness and the cause of death in I think almost 30 people have died. There's been 2,000 cases of vaping illness. And the one thing that they have discovered in all cases of all the vape liquid that's being used is one of the base elements is vitamin E acetate. Now, I believe this is a synthetic form of vitamin E that is not, even to take it doesn't even do anything for your body. So it's like, why do we even use this in our society at all? But vitamin E acetate, when put on the skin, won't harm you. When taken in your body, it won't do anything, harm or help. But when smoked, it can kill you. So if you're still vaping, because you're like, well, I'm not vaping THC, so whatevs. I'm serious. Stop vaping, because the vitamin E acetate is what's been causing it. And I think I'm asking higher guidance. Okay, so it does also causes problems with nerves and tiredness and the inability to take in full oxygen. Even if you don't get the vaping illness, it can still cause those things. Also, I'm getting right now confirmation of headaches, migraine headaches, things that normally would have had another cause. Vaping can cause this stuff as well. And by the way, yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, okay. It was last night. I was talking to my son, and all of a sudden, it smelled like I was smoking a cigarette. I felt it in my body, around my lungs. I felt it in my mouth. And I felt myself in a cloud of cigarette smoke. And that means that one of you that had quit smoking had a cigarette yesterday. And I know it. Stop smoking. It is so bad for you. And I have asthma, and it's bad for me. And if you're going to smoke, I'm feeling it. I'm smelling it. I breathed it in, and I was like, ugh. All of a sudden I couldn't breathe. I was like, what the hell? I'm allergic to cigarette smoke. I used to smoke too. I love it, but I gained an allergy to it. So whoever's smoking, it's someone who I love very much, I think, and who I communicate quite often with. I don't know which one of you. I could think about 3 or 4 of you, though. It's one of you, and I know you're smoking again, so you need to stop. My higher guidance is like, this person needs to stop. But I didn't hear who it was. I just was like, So, yeah, there's that. What else? Oh, goodness. There was some other information. Oh, mental fogginess, lack of clarity combined with a lot of confusion, like a lot of confusion. That is since Halloween has been going on with a lot of people, where people are just like, why would I go in this room? What did I want? That kind of thing, like your mom and dad used to do when you were a kid, and you'd laugh at them because you thought they were being silly, or your grandparents, and now you're doing it. And if you're in your 20s, you're like, wait a minute. Don't fear, you're probably not getting Alzheimer's, or what we used to call old-timers disease. It's just a part of this energy, it's upgrading our bodies and, taking out a lot of the mass out of our bodies. And, it's so dumb. I've been on this keto diet for a while now, and it has been so irritating to me that I at first lost 4 inches off my waist, and then I gained 2 inches back. And I feel like I'm thinner, like I feel like I weigh lighter, and my body's changing shape and I'm looking better, but I still have the same measurements all over my whole body. Like, what the hell? Why am I not losing that? But even having said that, my hair is, and I think this is an ascension symptom, and maybe not just of the diet thing that I've been doing, but when I first started doing the Jello thing a couple months ago, I did for 6 months, and I'm done now. When I first started it, my hair was white over almost all of the top of my head, the front of my head, and on the sides. And then the rest of my red hair had faded to blonde. It didn't look white on the top and on the sides, but on the top it looked white, and on the sides underneath it looked white, like ice white hair, like old lady hair. I'm like, damn it, so I started dyeing my hair. And then my higher guidance said, well, if you do this gelatin thing every night, you're going to start to see after 2 to 3 months that your hair color is coming back. And I thought, well, I'm not going to dye my hair because I want to watch this. I want to see this in action. It's pretty cool. In the past 3 days, you guys, my hair, the white part of my hair, except for underneath on the sides, is still white. But even on top and especially in front, it started to go from white to pale blonde. And then started to get a little bit more darker blonde, and then turned more red-ish. Today I woke up, walked in the bathroom, and I saw all my copper highlights are back. My original hair color is like if you go to Home Depot and you go to the electrical supply place part, and you get like a thing of the really thin copper wire. That's what my hair looks like naturally. That's my natural color, like copper wire. Those little teeny tiny copper wires. And sometimes it's like 10 or 20, and they're raveled up together, like braided somehow. That's what my hair looked like. and it was like I was trying to figure out, how am I going to tell people the color to dye my hair? When I was younger, I was scared to death of my hair changing color. So I was like going around, like holding my hair up to a bunch of different objects. And the only thing that would work is if I held it up to a copper penny that was particularly very, very red, like the older pennies. The newer ones, I don't know, it's a weird alloy, so it's like a rose gold color. But in the original pennies, it was like copper, real copper. That's the color of my hair. And I thought I'm never going to see that again. And it just made me sad. I mean, for years I was depressed over this. Actually, since 2009 it was 2010 when I met Jessica. The first time I dyed my hair, I had to Skype with her to see if she liked it. And so that was the first time I'd ever dyed my hair my whole life, in 2010. And so yeah, it's like I'd started dyeing my hair, and I thought I would never ever see my real color again. And today I walked in the bathroom and I was like, oh my God, not only is my hair blonde, it's just straight out red and with the coppery highlights. And it shines in the sun like I have copper in my hair, like I put something on my hair, even though I didn't. So it's back. So I don't know if any of you are having white or gray hair coming through. I know it happens a lot of people in their late 20s, early 30s even. So it's all going to come back, baby. I know it is. I know it's part of the fifth dimensional thing where our bodies are going to morph into what we want and what we think about. And I'm always thinking about my hair being that color, my original color again, because it's not me. I don't feel like it's me unless it's that color. And that I grew to love. I hated when I was a kid. I grew to love it as an adult. And then when I lost it, it just almost destroyed my, like, all of my self-image. Like, I don't know, it sounds stupid and shallow, but that's just me. You know what I mean? Like, my oldest kid had the most gorgeous blonde hair, but it's him to have blue or purple hair, or, I mean, not purple, blue or turquoise hair, or green. That's him. You know, like, he's like, I don't feel like I'm myself unless my hair is one of these colors. That's just more me. I'm blue or green or turquoise, or sometimes even black hair. He's like, I don't like my natural hair color, and his hair color is gorgeous, but that doesn't feel like who, you know what I mean? So you have to feel who you are, you know? And so anyway, yeah, my hair color's coming back. I'm thinking that is a symptom. So if you guys have gone gray or white in patches of your hair and you've been dyeing it, maybe don't dye it for a couple months and see what happens. Kind of monitor it a little bit. Focus on it a little bit and see. Because if that's going to reverse, maybe wrinkles will reverse, maybe gaining weight will start to reverse, maybe other things that were sagging, bagging, and dragging will start to reverse. You know, if you're older, you know, but if you're in your 20s, maybe you already started to get symptoms of arthritis from wearing out your joints from doing a lot of exercise. Maybe that's going to start to reverse. You guys see where I'm going with this? Maybe injuries that we had from sports. I mean, I have some really bad sports injuries, plus my stupid broken leg, which was not even sport related at all. But I think all these things are going to start to reverse. I just have a feeling. And so I'm bringing that up because I want you guys to start, if the littlest things like the hair color, which isn't really that big of a deal. It's neither here nor there. I kind of want to dye my hair moss green anyway. And I still might dye like streaks of moss green in my hair just because it's freaking fun and I want to. But I kind of feel like maybe everything's going to start to go the way we want it in our bodies in a way in which we never had that kind of control before. Now that we're in the fifth dimension, I think everything's going to be easier. We're going to draw the love to us, the city we want to live in, the house we want to buy, the car we want to drive, or for me, the flying drone I want to fly. The flying drone taxi I want for myself. And maybe the magic is coming back. Maybe the levitation. In a couple years, that will happen. Maybe the kinesiology, the telekinesis. Maybe, you know, all these things are going to happen. Because everything is starting to reverse. And we are also reversing our fall to earth. We're like unfalling. I guess ascending is really what that word is. Anyway, I'm going to get to it, guys, because I just realized it's 32 minutes. And we have an hour for the reading today of Swami Panchadasi's book, Clairvoyance and Occult Powers. And we all know William Walter Atkinson is really Swami Panchadasi. But today's topics in that, absolutely fascinating. Oh my God. I already read it. I already did it, that part first. So I was like blown away by it, to be honest. It's really helpful. And next week is going to be even more helpful. This is, I think this is part 8. I think that's true. It's part 8. It's either part 8 or part 9 this week. But it's really, I hope you guys enjoy it tonight because it's blew my mind in a couple places. It's just getting deeper and deeper into thought forms tonight. Thought forms. Very interesting. And how to project a thought to somebody where they can feel your emotion and have the idea of your thought and have the mental image of a whole scene projected to them. And they're going to get it. And it teaches, tonight is a lesson on how you can do that. could be helpful, it could be helpful. I'm going to send my twin flame a hug and see if he gets it. I might send one of my friends a hug and see if he or she gets it. Or they. Maybe I'll do this to a lot of people. So awesome. I love this thought so much. Okay. In disclosurenews.it out of Italy, not a whole lot. I'm not going to go into... they just said light movements. It's not a lot. They have an explanation, but power 25 is what they say. So basically 25 hertz frequency on the Schumann Resonance scale. Not a whole lot going on there. 25 isn't anything to write home to mama about, I don't think. All right, but in heartmath.org, in HeartMath Institute, their Schumann resonances say this. California started off at midnight at 43 hertz frequency and stayed the same all the way across. Hofuf, Saudi Arabia started off at 3. 3. That's a nothing to write home about. Although it's my number, and it stayed 3 all the way across from midnight until 5 a.m. And in Lithuania, they started off at 117. And by 5 a.m., they were down to 112. So they were pretty high to begin with, and then just went down by 5 points. That's not too much of a movement, really. In Alberta, Canada, they start off at 68. That's low for Alberta, Canada. And they stayed at 68 all the way across for 5 hours. And in Northland, New Zealand, they start off at 74. And they went up to 87 by 5 a.m. hertz frequency. And the Schumann resonance for Hulului is incredibly high compared to all the other ones. They're always the winner, aren't they? 286 hertz frequency on the Schumann resonance scale at midnight. And they went down to 231 by 5 a.m. So there you have it. That is the Schumann resonance news for today. Now, in A Course in Miracles, acim.org, we are on lesson 152. And I'm just going to read the basic idea today is the power of decision is my own. The power of decision is my own. It's my own, baby. It says, okay, I'll read the first paragraph. No one can suffer loss unless it be his own decision. No one suffers pain except his choice elects the state for him. No one can grieve, nor fear, nor think him sick unless these are the outcomes that he wants. No one dies without his own consent. Nothing occurs but represents your wish. Nothing is omitted that you choose. Here is your world, complete in all details. Here is its whole reality for you, and it is only here salvation is. This is an incredible lesson, and I really encourage you to go to acim.org, the Foundation for Inner Peace, or just download an app and really dive deep into these lessons. If you decide to start like in the new year, it's a great resolution. Start and don't stop for one whole year. Make a commitment to yourself. This stuff is really deep, and it's going to help us unravel a lot of those 3D ideas that we're still hanging on to. I feel like a lot of the reason why we're going through this massive upgrades where we're so tired and we're so much in pain, that's the remnants of what we're holding on to from the 3D world. We don't need it anymore. We're not going to be able to go back to the 3D. It's not going to exist. It won't even exist after a while. We've already been on the rocket booster, and the rocket booster's already fallen away. We're still on the rocket. We're still rising rapidly, baby, towards heaven on earth. We're in the 5th dimension. We're fully anchored in. So it is what it is. The power of decision is my own. This day I will accept myself as what my Father's will created me to be. Today's a day for you to give up all your self-deceptions. humbly ask your higher self that he reveal himself to us. And he who never left will come again to our own awareness, grateful to restore his home to God as it was meant to be. Understand only the truth is true, and all the illusions are false, right? The power of decision is my own. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we are reading Clairvoyance and Occult Powers. It's about 102 years old, written by a lawyer who is very well known in the Boston region. Swami Panchadasi of the Boston Panchadasis. I'm just kidding. He's William Walter Atkinson of the Boston Atkinsons. Whatever the flock that means. But anyway, he wrote this book. He was a powerful occultist. He knew his stuff. He was really, really, really famous. He wrote some books under his name, and some books were too wild for him to express himself as himself. So he became his alter ego, Swami Panchadasi, to present some of the material. And so this is the book tonight, Clairvoyance and Occult Powers, Lesson 15 and Lesson 16, right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. Clairvoyant and Occult Powers by Swami Panchadasi. Lesson 15. Strange Astral Phenomena. There are several phases of astral phenomena other than those mentioned in the preceding chapters, which it will be better for the student to become acquainted with in order to round out his general knowledge of the subject. Although his manifestations are comparatively rare and not so generally recognized in works on this subject. One of the first of these several phases of astral phenomena is that which may be called thought form projection. This manifestation comes into place on the psychic scale just between ordinary clairvoyance on the one hand and astral body projection on the other. It has some of the characteristics of each and is often mistaken for one or the other of these phases. To understand this phenomenon, the student should know something regarding the fact that thought frequently takes on astral form, and that these manifestations are known as thought forms. I've often spoke of these in some of the preceding lessons. The ordinary thought form is quite simple as a rule and does not bear any particular resemblance to the sender thereof. But in some cases, a person may consciously or unconsciously, strongly and clearly think of himself as present at some other place and thus actually create a thought form of himself at that place, which may be discerned by those having clairvoyant vision. Moreover, this thought form of himself is connected psychically with himself and affords a channel of psychic information for him. As a rule, these thought forms are only projected by those who have trained their minds and will along occult lines. But occasionally, under the stress of strong emotion or desire, an ordinary person may focus his psychic power to such an extent that the phenomena is manifested. Here, I will quote from an English investigator of astral phenomena who has had much experience on that plane. He says, "All students are aware that thought takes form, at any rate, upon its own plane, and in the majority of cases, upon the astral plane also. But it may not be so generally known that if a man thinks strongly of himself as present at any given place, the form assumed by that particular thought will be a likeness of the thinker himself, which will appear at the place in question. Essentially, this form must be composed of the matter of the mental plane, but in very many cases, it would draw round itself matter of the astral plane also, and so would approach much nearer to visibility. There are, in fact, many instances in which it has been seen by the person thought of, most probably by means of the unconscious influence emanating from the original thinker. None of the consciousness of the thinker would, however, be included within this thought form. When once sent out from him, it would normally be quite a separate entity, not indeed absolutely unconnected with its maker, but practically so as far as the possibility of receiving any impression through it is concerned. This type of clairvoyance consists then in the thought to retain so much connection with and so much hold over a newly created thought form as will render it possible to receive impressions by means of it. Such impressions as were made upon the form would in this case be transmitted to the thinker not along an astral telegraph line, but by a sympathetic vibration. In a perfect case of this kind of clairvoyance, it's almost as though the seer projected a part of his consciousness into the thought form and used it as a kind of outpost from which observation was possible. He sees almost as well as he would if he himself stood in the place of his thought form. The figures at which he is looking will appear to him as of life size and close to hand, instead of tiny and at a distance, as in the case of some other forms of clairvoyance. And he'll find it possible to shift his point of view if he wishes to do so. Clairaudience is perhaps less frequently associated with this type of clairvoyance than with the others, but its place is to some extent taken from a kind of mental perception of the thoughts and intentions of those who are seen. Since a man's consciousness is still in the physical body, he will be able, even when exercising this faculty, to hear and to speak, insofar as he can do this without any distraction of his attention. The moment that the intentness of his thought fails, the whole vision is gone, and he will have to construct a fresh thought form before he can resume it. I have to think about that for a minute. The moment that the intentness of his thought fails, the whole vision is gone, and he'll have to construct a fresh thought form before he can resume it. Interesting. Okay. Instances in which this kind of sight is possessed with any degree of perfection by untrained people are naturally rarer than in the other types of clairvoyance, because the capacity for mental control required and the general finer nature of the forces employed. I may mention that this particular I may mention that this particular method is frequently employed by advanced occultists of all countries, being preferred for various reasons. Some of the reasons of this preference as follows. A. The ability to shift the vision and to turn around almost as well as in the case of actual astral body projection. This gives quite an advantage to this method over the method of ordinary clairvoyance. B. It does away with certain disadvantages of going out into the astral body, which only trained occultists realize. It gives almost the same results as astral body clairvoyance without a number of disadvantages and inconveniences. In India especially, this form of clairvoyance is comparatively frequent. This by reason of the fact that the Hindus they're not a race, dude. He says Hindus as a race. Whatever. I shouldn't even said that. Sorry. I'm going to skip that part and start over. This by reason of the fact that the Hindus are far more psychic than those of the Western lands, all else considered. How does he even know that, to be honest? But whatever. And besides, there are a much greater number of highly developed occultists there than in the West. Well, yeah, that's because it's more... It's taught to children. It's just more in the awareness of people, that's all. Anyway, moreover, there is a certain psychic atmosphere surrounding India by reason of its thousands of years of deep interest in things psychic and spiritual, all of which renders the production of psychic phenomena far easier than in other lands. In India, moreover, we find many instances of another form of psychic or astral phenomena. I allude to the production of thought form pictures which are plainly visible to one or more persons. This phase of psychic phenomena is a real basis for many of the wonder tales which Western travelers bring back with them from India. The wonderful cases of magical appearance of living creatures and plants and other objects out of the clear air are the result of this psychic phenomena. That is to say, creatures and objects are not really produced, but the astral appearances resulting from the projection of powerful thought forms from the mind of the magician or other wonder worker, of whom India has a plentiful supply. Even the ignorant fakirs, and I use the word in its true sense, not in the sense given it by American slang, even these itinerant showmen of psychic phenomena are able to produce phenomena of this kind, which seems miraculous to those witnessing them. As for the trained occultists of India, I may say that their feats, when they deign to produce them, seem to overturn every theory and principle of materialistic philosophy and science. But in nearly every case, the explanation is the same: the projection of a strong and clear thought form on a large scale. Although I have purposely omitted... I just lost my place. Hold on. Oh, yeah, okay. Although I have purposely omitted reference to Hindu psychic phenomena in this book, for the reason given in the introduction, I find it necessary to quote cases in India in this connection for the simple reason that there are but few counterparts in the Western world. There are no itinerant wonder workers of this kind in Western lands, and the trained occultists of the West, of course, would not consent to perform feats of this kind for the amusement of persons seeking mere sensations. The trained wills of the West are given rather to materializing objectively on the physical plane, creating great railroads, buildings, bridges, etc. from the mental pictures, rather than devoting the same time, energy, and will to the production of astral thought forms and pictures. There is a great difference in temperament, as well as a difference in the general psychic atmosphere between East and West, which serves to explain matters of this kind. An American writer truly says, "The first principle underlying the whole business of Hindu wonder-working is that of a strong will, and the first necessary condition of producing a magical effect is an increase in the power of thought." The Hindus, owing to that intense love for solitary meditation, which has been one of the most pronounced characteristics from time immemorial, have acquired mental faculties of which we of the Western and younger civilization are totally ignorant. The Hindu has attained a past master's degree in speculative philosophy. He has for years retired for meditation to the silent places in his land, lived as a hermit, subdued the body and developed the mind, thus winning control over other minds. In India, I have seen scenes of far distant places appearing as a mirage in clear air, even the colors being present to the scenes. This, though somewhat uncommon, was simply a remarkable instance of thought form projection from the mind of a man highly developed along the occult lines. You must remember that in order to produce a picture in the astral of this kind, the occultist must not only have the power of will and mind to cause such a picture to materialize, but he must also have a remarkable memory for detail in the picture. For nothing appears in the picture unless it's already been pictured in the mind of the man himself. Such a memory and perception of detail is very rare. In the Western world, it is possessed by only exceptional artists. However, anyone may cultivate this perception and memory if he will give the time and care to it that the Hindu magicians do. You have heard of the Hindu mango trick. Really? Okay. In which the magician takes a mango seed, plants it into the ground, waves his hands over it, and causes a first tiny shoot to appear from the surface of the ground. This followed by a tiny trunk and leaves which grow and grow until at last appears a full-size mango tree, which first shows blossoms and then ripe fruit. In short, in a few moments, the magician has produced that which nature requires years to do, he apparently does this. In a few moments. Okay. What he really does is to produce a wonderful thought form in the astral from seed stage to tree to fruit stage, the astral picture reproducing perfectly the picture in his own mind. It is as if he were creating a moving picture film roll in his mind and projecting this upon the screen of the air. There's no mango tree there, and never was, outside of the mind of the magician and the minds of his audience. In the same way, the magician will seem to throw the end of a rope up into the air. It travels far up until the end is lost sight of. Then he sends a boy climbing up after it until he too disappears from sight. Then he causes the whole thing to disappear, and lo, the boy is seen standing among the audience. The boy is real, of course, but he never left the spot. The rest was all an appearance caused by the mind and will of the magician, pictured in the astral as a thought form. In the same way, the magician will seem to cut the boy into bits and then cause the severed parts to spring together and reassemble themselves. These feats may be varied indefinitely, but the principle is ever the same: thought, form, projection. Western visitors have sought to obtain photographs of these feats of the Hindu magicians, but their plates and films invariably show nothing whatever except an old fakir, sitting quietly in the center with a peculiar expression in his eyes. This is as might be expected, for the picture exists only in the astral and is perceived only by the awakened astral senses of those present, which have been stimulated into activity by the power of the magician, by sympathetic vibration to be exact. Moreover, in certain instances, it has been found that the vision is confined to a limited area. Persons outside the limit ring see nothing, and those moving nearer closer to the magician lose sight of what they had previously seen. There are scientific reasons for this last fact which need not be gone into at this place. The main point I'm seeking to bring about is that these wonderful scenes are simply and wholly thought-formed pictures in the astral, perceived by the awakened astral vision of those present. This, to be sure, is wonderful enough, but still no miracle has been worked. I may mention here that these magicians begin their training from early youth, just as I said. In addition to certain instruction concerning astral phenomena, which is handed down from father to son among them, they are set to work practicing visualization of things previously perceived. They are set to work upon, say, a rose. They must impress upon their memory the perfect picture of the rose, no easy matter, I may tell you. Then they proceed to more difficult objects, slowly and gradually along well-known principles of memory development. Along with this, they practice the art of reproducing that which they remember, projecting it in thought-form state. And so the young magician proceeds from simple to complex things, from easy to difficult, until finally he is pronounced fit to give public exhibitions. All this takes years and years. Sometimes a boy grows to be a middle-aged man before he's allowed to publicly exhibit his power. Imagine a Western boy or man being willing to study from early childhood to middle age before he may hope to show or be able to show what he has been learning. Verily, the East is the East and the West is the West, the two poles of human activity and expression. Another phase of psychic astral phenomena, which should be mentioned, although it is manifested but comparatively seldom, is that which has been called telekinesis. By the term telekinesis, it is meant that the class of phenomena which manifests in the movement of physical objects without physical contact with the person responsible for the movement. I understand that the term itself was coined by Professor Cowes, with whose work I am not personally familiar. It is derived from the two Greek words tele, meaning far off, kinesis, meaning to move. This class of phenomena is known better in the Western world by reason of its manifestation in spiritualistic circles, in the movement of tables, the knocking or tapping on tables and doors, etc., all of which are usually attributed to the work of spirits, but which occultists know are generally produced consciously or unconsciously by means of the power in the medium or others present, and sometimes both. I would say here that I'm not trying to discredit genuine spiritualistic phenomena. I am not considering the same in these lessons. All that I wish to say is that many of the phenomena commonly attributed to spirits are really but results of the psychic forces inherent in the living human being. Under certain conditions, there may appear in the case of a person strongly psychic and also strongly charged with prana, there's a clue, the ability to extend a portion of the astral body to a considerable distance and to there produce an effect upon some physical object. Those with strong clairvoyant vision may actually perceive this astral extension under favorable circumstances. They perceive the astral arm of the person stretching out, diminishing in size as it extends, just as a piece of flexible rubber shrinks in diameter as it expands in length, and finally coming in contact with the physical object it wishes to move or strike. Then is seen a strong flow of prana along its length, which by a familiar form of concentration is able to produce the physical effect. I cannot enter into the subject of astrophysics at this place, for the subject is far too technical to be treated in lessons designed for general study. I may at least partially explain the phenomenon, however, by saying that the projected astral arm acts in a manner almost precisely like that of an extended physical arm were such a thing possible in nature. Inspector Gadget. Okay, sorry. This astral body extension produces spirit wraps on tables like... Okay, that was me. Table tilting and movement, levitation, or the lifting of solid objects up into the air, playing upon musical instruments such as the guitar or accordion, etc. In some cases, it's able to actually lift the person himself from the floor, carry him through the air in the same way. It may also cause the movement of a pencil in a closed state, or in a closed slate. That's something that's like 100 years old and it's lost on me. A closed slate? What? All right, anyway. Or a bit of chalk upon a blackboard. In fact, it may produce almost any form of movement possible to the physical hand. In the case of the levitation of the person himself, the astral arms, and sometimes the legs as well, extend to the floor and push up the physical body into the air and then propel it along. There are many complex technical details to these manifestations, however, and in a general statement, these must be omitted. Some who are firmly wedded to the spiritistic theory resent the statement of occultists that this form of phenomena may be explained without the necessity of the spirits. But the best ground for the statement of the occultists is that many advanced occultists are able to produce such phenomena consciously by an act of pure will, accompanied by the power of mental picturing. They first picture the astral extension, and then will the projection of the astral and the passage of the prana or vital force around the pattern of the mental image. In the case of some very highly developed occultists, the astral thought form of their body becomes so charged with prana that it is able to move physical objects. There are not mere theories, for they may be verified by any occultist of sufficiently high development. I do not wish to intimate that the mediums are aware of the true nature of the phenomena and consciously deceive their followers. On the contrary, most of them firmly believe that it is the spirits who do the work, unaware that they are unconsciously projecting their astral bodies charged with prana and performing the feats themselves. The best mediums, however, will generally tell you that they strongly wish that the thing be done, and a little cross-examination will reveal the fact that they generally make a clear mental picture of the actual happening just before it occurs. As I've already stated, however, the best proof is the fact that advanced occultists are able to duplicate the phenomena deliberately, consciously, and at will. I do not think that detracts from the wonder and interest in the so-called spiritist phenomena. On the contrary, I think that it adds to it. Again, invading the realm of the spirits, I would say that occultists know that many cases of so-called materialization of spirit forms take place by reason of the unconscious projection of the astral body of the medium. Moreover, such a projection of the astral body may take on the appearance of some departed soul by reason of the mental picture of that person in the mind of the medium. But it may be asked, if the medium has never seen the dead person, how he or she could make a mental picture of him or her. The answer is that the minds of the persons present who knew the dead person tend to influence the appearance of the nebulous spirit form. In fact, in most cases, a medium is unable to produce the phenomena without the psychic assistance of those in the circle. Oh, interesting. In this case, also, I would say that the advanced occultist is able to duplicate the phenomena at will, as all who have enjoyed the privilege of close acquaintance with such persons are aware. The fact the medium is usually in a trance condition aid materially in the ease with which the phenomena are produced. With the conscious mind stilled and the subconscious mind active, the astral phenomena are produced with much less trouble than would be the case if the medium were in ordinary conditions. Now, I wish to impress upon the minds of those of my readers who have a strong sympathy for the spiritistic teachings that I recognize the validity and genuineness of much of the phenomena of spiritism. I know that things to be true for that matter. I know these things to be true for that matter. It is not a matter of mere belief on my part, but I also know that much of the so-called spiritist phenomena is possible without the aid of quote-unquote spirits, but by the employment of psychic astral forces and powers as stated in these lessons. I see no reason for any honest investigator of spiritism to be offended at such statements, for it doesn't take away from the wonder of the phenomena and does not discredit the motives and powers of the mediums. We must search for truth wherever it is to be found. We must not seek to dodge results of our investigations. There is too much wonderful phenomena in spiritism to begrudge the explanation that the occultist offers for certain of its phases. While I'm on the subject of materialization, however, I would direct the attention of the student to my little book entitled The Astral World, in which I have explained briefly the phenomena of those planes of the astral in which dwell the cast-off shells of souls which have moved on to higher planes of the greater astral world. I have there shown that many astral shells or shades or other astral semi-entities may be materialized and thus mistaken for spirits of departed friends. I have also explained in the same little book how there are certain powerful thought forms which may be mistaken for spirit materializations. I also have shown that many an honest medium who's really a good clairvoyant, and by reading the records of the astral light, is able to give information which seems to come from the departed soul. All of these things should be familiar to the earnest investigator of spiritism in order that he may be able to classify the phenomena which he witnesses and to avoid error and disappointment. In this connection, before passing on to the consideration of other phases of psychic phenomena, I would say that one of the best mediums known to the modern Western world, a medium who has been consulted by eminent men, university professors, psychologists, and others, and whose revelations regarding past, present, and future astounded careful and intelligent men of international reputation, this medium, at the height of her professional success, made a public announcement that she felt compelled from conscientious motives to assert that she had come to the conclusion that her message came not from departed spirits, but rather from some other unknown realm of being brought hither by the exercise of some faculty inherent in her and developed to a high power in her for some reason, which power seemed to manifest more effectively when she shut off her ordinary physical faculties and functioned on a higher plane than them. I think that the student of the present lessons will be able to point out the nature of the phenomena manifested by this medium and also the source of her power. If not, I shall feel disappointed at my work of instruction. Lesson 16. Psychic Influence, Its Laws and Principles. One of the phases of psychic phenomena that actively engage the attention of the student from the very beginning is that which may be called psychic influence. By this term is meant the influencing of one mind by another, the effect of one mind over another. There has been much written and said on this phase of the general subject in recent years, but few writers, however, have gone deeply into the matter. In the first place, most of the writers on the subject seek to explain the whole thing by means of ordinary telepathy. But this is a merely one-sided view of the truth of the matter. For while ordinary telepathy plays an important part in the phenomena, still the higher form of telepathy, i.e. astral thought transference, is frequently involved. The student who has followed me in the preceding lessons will understand readily what I mean when I say this, so there is no necessity for repetition on this point at this place. At this point, however, I must ask the student to consider the idea of psychic vibrations and their inductive power. It is a great principle of occultism as well as of modern science that everything is in a state of vibration. Everything has its own rate of vibration and is constantly manifesting it. Every mental state is accompanied by vibration of its own plane. Every emotional state or feeling has its own particular rate of vibration. These rates of vibrations manifest just as do the vibrations of musical sound, which produce the several notes on the scale, one rising above the other in rate of vibration. But the scale of mental and emotional states is far more complex and far more extended than is the musical scale. There are thousands of different notes and half notes on the mental scale. There are harmonies and discords on that scale also. To those to whom vibrations seem to be something merely connected with sound waves, etc., I would say that a general and hasty glance at some elementary work on physical science will show that even the different shades, hues, and tints of the colors perceived by us arise from different rates of vibration. Color is nothing more than the result of certain rates of vibrations of light recorded by our senses and interpreted by our minds. From the low vibrations of red to the high vibrations of violet, all the various colors of the spectrum have their own particular rate of vibration. And more than this, science knows that below the lowest red vibrations and above the highest violet vibrations, there are other vibrations which our senses are unable to record, but which scientific instruments register. The rays of light by which photographs are taken are not perceived by the eye. There are a number of so-called chemical rays of light which the eye does not perceive, but which may be caught by delicate instruments. There is what science has called dark light, which will photograph in a room which appears pitch dark to the human sight. Above the ordinary scale of light vibrations are the vibrations of the X-rays and other fine forces. These are not perceived by the eye, but are caught by delicate instruments and recorded. Moreover, though science has not as yet discovered the fact, occultists know that the vibrations of mental and emotional states are just as true and regular as are those of sound or light or heat. Again, above the plane of the physical vibrations arising from the brain and nervous system, there are the vibrations of the astral counterparts of these, which are much higher in the scale. For even the astral faculties and organs, while above the physical, still are under the universal rule of vibration, and they have their own rate thereof. The old occult axiom, as above, so below, as below, so above, is always seen to work out on all planes of universal energy. Closely following this idea of the universality of vibrations and intimately connected therewith, we have the principle of induction, which is likewise universal and found manifesting on all planes of energy. What is induction, you may ask? Well, it is a very simple or very complex just as you may look at it. The principle of induction on any plane is that inherent quality or attribute of energy by which the manifestation of energy tends to reproduce itself in a second object by setting up corresponding vibrations therein, though without direct contact of the two objects. Thus, heat in one object tends to induce heat in another object within its range of induction. The heated object throws off heat vibrations, which set up corresponding vibrations in the nearby second object and makes it hot. Likewise, the vibrations of light striking upon other objects render them capable of radiating light. Again, a magnet will induce magnetism in a piece of steel suspended nearby, though the two objects don't actually touch each other. An object which is electrified will induce, or by induction, electrify another object situated some distance away. A note sounded on the piano or violin will cause a glass or a vase in some distant part of the room to vibrate and sing under certain conditions, and so on. In every form or phase of the manifestation of energy do we see the principle of induction in full operation and manifestation. On the plane of ordinary thought and emotion, we may find instances of this principle of induction. We know that one person vibrating strongly with happiness or sorrow, cheerfulness or anger, as the case may be, tends to commit, this is FENS, F-E-N-D-S. Is that even a word? Maybe FENS? Let me start that over. We know that one person vibrating strongly with happiness or sorrow, cheerfulness or anger, as the case may be, tends to communicate his feeling and emotional state to those with whom he comes in contact. All of you have seen a whole room full of persons affected and influenced in this way under certain circumstances. You have also seen how a magnetic orator, preacher, singer, or actor is able to induce in his audience a state of emotional vibration corresponding to that manifested by himself. In the same manner, the mental atmospheres of towns and cities are induced. A well-known writer on this subject has truthfully told us, "We all know how great waves of feeling spread over a town, a city, or a country, sweeping people off their balance. Great waves of political enthusiasm or war spirit or prejudice for or against certain persons sweep over places and cause men to act in a manner that they will afterward regret when they come to themselves and consider their acts in cold blood. They will be swayed by the demagogues or magnetic leaders who wish to gain their votes or patronage. They will be led into acts of mob violence or similar atrocities by yielding to these waves of contagious thought. On the other hand, we all know how great waves of religious feelings sweep over a community upon the occasion of some great revival, excitement, or fervor. These things being perceived and recognized as true, the next question that presents itself to the mind of the intelligent student is this: but what causes the difference in power and effect between the thought and feeling vibrations of different persons? This question is a valid one and arises from a perception of the underlying variety and difference in the thought vibrations of different persons. The difference, my students, is caused by three principal facts, viz. 1. Difference in degree of feeling. 2. Difference in degree of visualization. And 3. Difference in degree of concentration. Let us examine each of these successively so as to get to the underlying principle. The element of emotional feeling is like the element of fire in the production of steam. The more vivid and intense the feeling or emotion, the greater the degree of heat and force to the thought wave or vibratory stream projected. You will begin to see why the thought vibrations of those animated and filled with strong desire, strong wish, strong ambition, etc., must be more forceful than those persons of the opposite type. The person who is filled with a strong desire, wish, or ambition, which has been fanned into a fierce blaze by attention, is a dynamic power among other persons, and his influence is felt. In fact, it may be asserted that, as a general rule, no person is able to influence men and things unless he has a strong desire, wish, or ambition within him. The power of desire is a wonderful one, as all occultists know, and it will accomplish much even if the other elements be lacking. While in proper combination with other principles, it will accomplish wonders. Likewise, a strong interest in a thing will cause a certain strength to the thought vibrations connected therewith. Interest is really an emotional feeling, though we generally think of it as merely something connected with the intellect. A cold intellectual thought has very little force unless backed up by strong interest and concentration. But any intellectual thought backed up with interest and focused by concentration will produce very strong thought vibrations with a marked inductive power. Now, let us consider the subject of visualization. Every person knows that the person who wishes to accomplish anything or who expects to do good work along any line must first know what he wishes to accomplish. In the degree that he is able to see the thing in his mind's eye, to picture the thing in his imagination, in that degree will he tend to manifest the thing itself in material form and effect. Sir Francis Galton, an eminent authority upon psychology, says on this point, the free use of a high visualizing faculty is of much importance in connection with the higher processes of generalized thought. A visual image is the most perfect form of mental representation wherever the shape, position, and relations of objects to space are concerned. The best workmen are those who visualize the whole of what they propose to do before they take a tool in their hands. Strategists, artists of all denominations, physicists who contrive new experiments, and in short, all who do not follow routine, have need of it. A faculty that is of importance in all technical and artistic occupations, that gives accuracy to our perceptions and justice to our generalizations, is starved by lazy disuse instead of being cultivated judiciously in such a way as will, on the whole, bring best return. I believe that a serious study of the best way of developing and utilizing this faculty, without prejudice to the practice of abstract thought and symbols, is one of the pressing desiderata in the yet unformed science of education. Not only on the ordinary planes is the forming of strong mental images important and useful, but when we come to consider the phenomena of the astral plane, we begin to see what an important part is played there by strong mental images or visualized ideas. The better you know what you desire, wish, or aspire to, the stronger will be your thought vibrations of that thing, of course. Well, then, the stronger that you are able to picture the thing in your mind, to visualize it to yourself, the stronger will be your actual knowledge and thought form of that thing. Instead of your thought vibrations being grouped into nebulous forms, lacking shape and distinct figure, as in the ordinary case, When you form strong, clear mental images of what you desire or wish to accomplish, then do the thought vibrations group themselves in clear, strong, distinct forms. This being done, when the mind of the other persons are affected by induction, they get the clear idea of the thought and feeling in your mind and are strongly influenced thereby. A little later on, I shall call your attention to the attractive power of thought. That's all in capital letters. Well, each word is capitalized. But at this point, I wish to say to you that while thought certainly attracts to you the things that you think of the most, still the power of the attraction depends very materially upon the clearness and the distinctness of the mental image or thought visualization of the desired thing that you have set up in your mind. The nearer you can actually see the thing as you wish it to happen, even to the general details, the stronger will be the attractive force thereof. But I shall leave the discussion of this phase of the subject until I reach it in its proper order. For the present, I shall content myself with urging upon you the importance of a clear mental image or visualized thought in the matter of giving force and direction to the idea induced in the minds of other persons. In order for the other persons to actually perceive clearly the idea or feeling induced in them, it is necessary that the idea or feeling be strongly visualized in the mind originating it. That is the whole thing in one sentence. I'm going to read that again because he said that. In order for the other persons to actually perceive clearly the idea or feeling induced in them, it's necessary that the idea or feeling be strongly visualized in the mind originating it. There you go. The next point of importance in thought influence by induction is that which is concerned with the process of concentration. Concentration is the act of mental focusing or bringing to a single point or center. It is like the work of the sun glass that converges the rays of the sun to a tiny single point, thus immensely increasing its heat and power. Or it's like the fine point of a needle that will force its way through where a blunt thing cannot penetrate. Or it is like the strongly concentrated essence of a chemical substance, of which one drop is as powerful as 1 pint of the original thing. Think of the concentrated power of a tiny drop of attar of roses. It has within its tiny space the concentrated odor of thousands of roses. 1 drop of it will make a pint of extract and a gallon of weaker perfumery. I'm going to add something here, guys. He doesn't say this, but 1 drop of essential oil of rose you have to have 4,000 rose petals to make 1 drop of essential oil of rose. That's why rose essential oil is so expensive. Anyway, all right. I just had to say that because I have my degree in aromatherapy too, so how to bring that up. Okay. Think of the concentrated power in a lightning flash as contrasted with the same amount of electricity diffused over a large area. Or think of the harmless flash of a small amount of gunpowder ignited in the open air as contrasted with the ignition of the same amount of powder compelled to escape through a small opening in the gun barrel. Okay. The occult teachings lay great stress upon this power of mental concentration. All students of the occult devote much time and care to the cultivation of the powers of concentration and the development of the ability to employ them. The average person possesses but a very small amount of concentration and is able to concentrate his mind for but a few moments at a time. The trained thinker obtains much of his mental power from his acquired ability to concentrate on his task. The occultist trains himself in fixing his concentrated attention upon the matter before him, so as to bring to a focal center all of his mental forces. The mind is a very restless thing, and is inclined to dance from one thing to another, tiring of each thing after a few moments' consideration thereof. ADHD much? The average person allows his involuntary attention to rest upon every trifling thing, and to be distracted by the idlest appeals to the senses. He finds it most difficult to either shut out these distracting appeals to the senses and equally hard to hold the attention to some uninteresting thing. His attention is almost free of control by the will, and the person is a slave to his perceptive powers and to his imagination instead of being a master of both. The occultist, on the contrary, masters his attention and controls his imagination. He forces the one to concentrate when he wishes to do so, and he compels the latter to form the mental images he wishes to visualize. But this is a far different thing from the self-hypnotization, which some persons imagine to be concentration. A writer on the subject has well said, "The trained occultist will concentrate upon a subject or object with a wonderful intensity, seemingly completely absorbed in the subject or object before him, and oblivious to all else in the world. And yet the task accomplished or the given time expired, he will detach his mind from the object and be perfectly fresh, watchful, and wide awake to the next matter before him." There's every difference between being controlled by involuntary attention, which is species of self-hypnotization, and the control of the attention, which is an evidence of mastery. An eminent French psychologist once said, "The authority of the attention is subject to the superior authority of the ego. I yield it or I withhold it as I please. I direct it in turn to several points. I concentrate it upon each point as long as my will can stand the effort." In an earlier lesson of this series, I have indicated in a general way the methods whereby one may develop and train his powers of concentration. There is no royal road to concentration. It may be developed only by practice and exercise. The secret consists in managing the attention so as to fix it upon a subject, no matter how uninteresting, and to hold it there for a reasonable length of time. Practice upon some disagreeable study or other task is good exercise, for it serves to train the will in spite of the influence of more attractive objects or subjects. All this and this all serves to train the will. Remember, for the will is actively concerned in every act of voluntary attention. In fact, attention of this kind is one of the most important characteristic acts of the will. So, as you see, in order to be successful in influencing the minds of others by means of mental induction, you must first cultivate a strong feeling or interest in the idea which you wish to induce in the other person, or a strong desire to produce the thing. Interest and desire constitute the fire which generates the stream of will from the water of mind, as some occultists have stated it. Secondly, you must cultivate the faculty of forming strong and clear mental images of the idea or feeling you wish to so induce. You must learn to actually see the thing in your imagination so as to give the idea strength and clearness. Thirdly, you must learn to concentrate your mind and attention upon the idea or feeling, shutting out all other ideas and feelings for the time being. Thus you give concentrated force and power to the vibrations and thought forms which you are projecting. These three principles underlie all of the many forms of mental induction or mental influence. We find them in active operation in cases in which the person is seeking to attract to himself certain conditions, environment, persons, twin flames, things, or channels of expression by setting into motion the great laws of mental attraction. We see them also employed when the person is endeavoring to produce an effect upon the mind of some particular person or number of persons. We see them in force in all cases of mental or psychic healing under whatever form it may be employed. In short, these are general principles and must therefore underlie all forms and phases of mental or psychic influence. The sooner the student realizes this fact and the more actively does he set himself to work in cultivating and developing these principles within himself, the more successful and efficient will he become in this field of psychic research and investigation. It is largely in the degree of the cultivation of these three mental principles that the occultist is distinguished from the ordinary man. It may be that you are not desirous of cultivating or practicing the power of influencing other persons psychically. Well, that is for you to decide. At any rate, you will do well to develop yourselves along these lines, at least for self-protection. The cultivation of these three mental principles will tend to make you active and positive, psychically, as contrasted with the passive, negative mental state of the average person. By becoming mentally active and positive, you will be able to resist any psychic influence that may be directed toward yourself and to surround yourself with a protective aura of positive, active mental vibrations. And moreover, if you are desirous of pursuing your investigations of psychic and astral phenomena, you will find it of great importance to cultivate and develop these three principles in your mind. For then you will be able to brush aside all distracting influences and to proceed at once to the task before you with power, clearness, and strength of purpose and method. In the following chapters, I shall give you a more or less detailed presentation of the various phases or forms of psychic influence. Some of these may seem at first to be something independent of the general principles, but I ask that if you carefully analyze all of these, so as to discover that the same fundamental principles are under and back of each and every instance presented. When you once fully grasp this fact and perfect yourselves in the few fundamental principles, then you are well started on the road to mastery of all the various phases of psychic phenomena. Instead of puzzling your mind over 100 different phases of disconnected phenomena, it's better to master the few actual elementary principles and then reason deductively from these to the various manifestation thereof. And then learn to apply them. All right, well, there you have it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I really loved the reading of this today. This was really good information. And, now I'm going to try to contact my twin flame in a different way. I can apply these principles in addition to the general telepathy I employ. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just send him a hug so he'll feel like I'm hugging him. Very interesting, yeah? We'll see if it works. I don't even know. I guess one day I'll meet him and ask him, remember back in November before, maybe on the 9th of November, remember when I hugged you? He's going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? All right, maybe I won't do it today. Maybe I'll do it on 11/11. Ooh, during the gateway that's opening. Pretty crazy stuff. All right. Well, I wanted to say thank you for all of those of you who are continuing to send this to your Facebook groups and your family and friends that have a like mind as us in the spiritual awakening world, or people who are already awake, or people who are just new to all this spiritual stuff. And they're trying to unravel all these thoughts and feelings and symptoms and what the hell is happening in the world. So thank you for forwarding this to people who are going to benefit from the words that I say and the words that I read from others and the information I pass along from yet others. So I just want to say thank you for that. It helps me, but it also helps other people. So the basic reason I started the show in the beginning was to help other people. So, and also to record all of my knowledge for my grandchildren. Hopefully someday I'll have them. So, and they'll always have a chance to know me and my great-grandchildren as well, because you just never know what the future holds, even though I plan to live another 40 or 50 years or more. Anyway, and then after I'm out of this body, of course, we're all going to live forever, so I'm never going to die anyway, but you know what I'm saying. I'm a lot harder to get in touch with when I'm not in body. Just saying. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being on this ascension journey with me and our continuing upgrades and downloads and light codes that are being induced in us through the psychic thought forms of the Prime Creator and some of the ET influencers. Thank you for being with me in this time. We are hashtag Soul Family and hashtag Soul Tribe. You could look on Twitter and look those up on Twitter, and that's how you find me. Or at MermaidGirl888 for Instagram and Twitter. Or you may email me at metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, especially if you have any miraculous stories surrounding the holidays. I'm going to have a very, very special Santa Claus and Holiday Miracle episode. So it doesn't have to be about Christian-related things. It could be even if you're Jewish or if you're Hindu or whatever religion you are. Or if you're no religion at all, that's okay too. Even if you're Wiccan, I want to hear about this time of year between like November, December area. I want to hear all of your miracle stories because I think other people want to hear that too. And we all could use some positivity right now, right? Always we can. Anyway, that's all I got to say for now. I love each and every one of you, and I'll be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. Signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys, peace out. Do you ever wish you could look into the next chapter in your book of life and see what's coming next? What does the universe have in store for you? I can help you with that. I will give you a Celtic cross reading, which is 10 cards, or you can ask me 3 questions, and I use 3 cards per question. So that's 9 cards, or I can channel your higher guidance, or maybe God directly for you. Maybe you want to talk to your dear departed Aunt Edna, because maybe you have a few questions and she was the smartest person you knew. If your deceased relatives are available or your ascended masters, I can channel them for you personally. Let me have 1 hour to show you the future in your next chapter of your book of life. Readings are $75, and it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And for this price, you will also be hooked up to the healing grid around the planet for free, which means yours truly, me, I will be giving you Reiki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. All you have to do is let me know. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, and we will explore your future together.